Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Excuse me. This is Bishop Wendy Mead, Bernard Waters. Sunday, August 26, 2019. Excuse me. Come this morning just to share a word. A word. Good morning, Michelle. It's my cousin Michelle, yeah. How you doing, darling? Blessings. But anyway, I come this morning to share a word from Ecclesiastes and Luke. That's the scriptures that's listed. Like I said, the building that I serve in, they are independent Catholics, so they somewhat follow electoral cycle, but then they changed the cycle because of some days that they made, like Martin Luther King birthday, Malcolm X birthday, stuff like that. So then that changed the cycle for their belief system and what the message that they're trying to put forward. If you look here in Ecclesiastes and in Luke, you'll see that you're challenged, and people, those that'll be coming on, I'm sure once they're prompted I'm on, that come on very often knows that, I'm a stickler for you getting who you are. You maximizing your potential in God. You becoming the best God you can be because you're told that you are a God. And if we're made in the image and likeness of God, then common sense just says that then we have to be defined as a God because we made in the image and likeness of God. That's what the Bible said. I always challenge people to tell me, we've been hearing our whole life, image and likeness. I'm made in the image and likeness of God, but I never was told what that was. So for you two that's on right now, Brother Rodney, good morning, sir. And maybe Sister Bev and my cousin Michelle McWilliams, long time, cuz I'm glad to see you on. But anyway, tell me if you can give me some insight on what image and likeness is, true typing, because we've been told this our whole lives, in particular those who are Christian or was Christian or whatever your affiliation may be. As I have no affiliation with none of that no more, as I'm very clear about. I know it seems strange that I'm sitting in an independent Catholic church, but I say I have no affiliation with religion, but I'm very open and vocal about that. My affiliation is with spirituality, just being connected to the spirit, the energy. I don't have time for all the man-made stuff that work harder at tearing us apart as a people. Because let me tell you something, I love all people. I have no disregard for no one. But as a conscious black male, I'm concerned a lot about the black community. Being 57 years old and our young people, seem to have fallen for the trap that they set for them. So, we have to figure out what can we do. We can't stay slaves and free people. A slave can't free a person because if you're not free, how can you free someone? Think about that. Harriet Tubman had ran away from the plantation. Well, not ran away. She claimed her freedom, but she came back. When she came back, she didn't come back as she was a. Technically, she didn't come back as a slave. She came back as a freedom fighter. But whatever. But the point that I'm making is that you can't leave where you're not willing to go. You can't teach what you don't know. So if you only know slavery, you can only teach enslavement. So you have to do introspection. You have to check within you, inside of you. And my view of the Bible is from that perspective. I don't view the Bible in the damnation perspective because there are too many places in there. Again, when I was following the crowd, when I was on what I call a Chitlin circuit, when I was on the Chitlin circuit, that's the way it was, It's just all that, and then you sit there and they laugh about what they tell people, how they broke on. So I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in being fake, phone. I'm not interested in deceiving, because I'm not looking to gain nothing from people. I'm not, let's just say I don't do this for personal gain per se. I don't. Not per se, I don't. I don't do this for personal gain. If I did this for personal gain, I'm in the wrong place because this place can't give me the gain that if I just would have went latch on like a leech to one of them big non-producing structures, I probably could have did better than I do here from an annual perspective as it come down to the opportunity to make a little money here and there, But I chose out of that. I didn't want to do that because I didn't come into ministry. Ministry came into me, and I sure didn't do it because I really live what I speak. So I don't speak outside of what I actually live. So I'm not fake, I'm not phony, I'm not saying that I'm all that, but I'm saying that I live what I speak. My story is told by the life that I live, not by the things that I've acquired, But anyway, God been good to me, and my wife, and we okay. We made some good choices and stuff, but that was us doing that. That's our skin in the game. That was my responsibility as a husband and hers as the wife for us to come together, work in sync with each other so that we can be, set up for retirement because, I constantly try to tell people, and I'm going to move on after this, I constantly try to tell people that retirement is something that you must plan because guess what? It's coming. It's coming. I tell them young people, just keep saying good morning. It's something that you have no choice in. You have to participate. You don't get to opt out. Because when you get older, what you gonna do? If you put no skin in the game, what you gonna get out the game? So this is why so many of our people are not able to survive or live on their own as elders, as seniors, because, everything was a party. We was using the wrong P word. We was partying, not planning, see? But when I made 30, I told my two sisters, which one was 31, the other was 32. And I told them, I said, look, y'all better start thinking about retirement. And, I got cussed out with a few choice words. But I went into retirement mode, which in 3 years after that, I went out on total disability. And for now, 24 years, I've been out on total disability. And God have blessed my life, I'm good. God is good. But you don't have to deceive people. God showed me in the whole process of my life, I don't have to deceive people. I don't have to lie. Because the Bible says this, and I am going to move on from it. The Bible said that the devil come to rob, to steal, to kill, and destroy. But God said, but I come that you might have life and have life more abundantly. What is that abundant life in God if I have to rob, steal, kill, and destroy? Think about that. Pose that question to yourself. If I have to be deceiving, if I have to be deceptive, if I have to participate in lying to people and everything, because even if it's not a total lie, a lie is a lie. Because if you bring forth the total information, then the person on the receiving end may make a different decision. You don't have the right to decide for them. You have the right to decide for yourself. So a lie is a lie, no matter how you cut the mustard seed, the mustard and all that, sweep it under the rug. So nevertheless, that's what people do. Most people live that lie because they want to fit in. But when you they have a little thing say to thine own self be true. When you're true to yourself, then you feel peace and comfortable. I have people that challenge some things that I've said that they doubted that that's how it went down because someone else told them something different. But every time over years, they say your story never changes the same. I said because it's the truth. The truth is easier to remember. See, the truth is easier to remember. But when you start telling these little stories, we all know people that lie. All you got to do is listen to them. You can hear the inconsistencies in their stories. It's constant inconsistencies. Because they tell the story semi the same way, but it's because it's not true, and they're not conscious. Then sometimes they catch themselves like, damn. So anyway, but those kind of people is best to stay away from anyway, because they could only cause us aggravation and trouble. So anyway, in Ecclesiastes 9. And we're going to start at 13. Ecclesiastes 9, 13 to 18, which is the end. O most merciful and gracious Creator, I thank you for allowing me to be here in this moment of time. I thank you for sharing this earth with me once again on this precious day. I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart is acceptable in your sight, because you are my God, our God. You are our strength, and you are our Redeemer. O Most High Creator, I pray that if anything should try to come out of my mouth that's not of you, that it should be cast into the sea where it should not rise again. For as I sat here before Facebook this morning, O Creator, these people come and join this program this morning, not to hear from me, but to hear from thee. I pray that in this moment you are glorified. Me, your church, your saint is edified. And that anything that's not of you is horrified enough to get edified. In the name of all that is holy, I pray. I bless you, Almighty Creator. Together, saints, we do say, amen. Amen. Okay, Ecclesiastes 9 and 13. I have also seen this example of wisdom. Listen to this, of wisdom under the sun, and it seems great to me. There was a little city with few people in it. A great king came against it and besieged it, building great siege work against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than might, yet the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heeded. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouting of a ruler amongst fools. Listen to that. Verse 17, that's some heavy stuff. 18, wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one burglar destroys much goods. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one bungler destroys much good. One fool destroys much good. Now, in that, now savor that for a moment. Savor that for a moment. That's some heavy stuff. He's talking about wisdom. Now, he's talking about someone that finally came to the overstanding of what it means to count, what it means to fit in. To fit in what, though? Who are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for? Who are we on this battlefield for? Let's see here in Luke. Now, watch what Luke says, and then you'll see why they put them together, because they parallel each other. That's Luke, the 12th chapter, the 35th through 43, I think. Be dressed for action and have your lamps lit. Be like those who are waiting for their master to return from the wedding banquet, so that they may open the door for him as soon as he comes and knocks. Blessed are those slaves who the master find alert when he comes. Truly, I tell you, he will fasten his belt and have them sit down to eat, and he will come and serve them. If he comes during the middle of the night or near dawn and finds them so, blessed are those slaves. But know this, if the owner of the house have known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. Peter said, Lord, are you telling this parable for us or for everyone else? And the Lord said, who then is the faithful and prudent amongst whom his master will put in charge of his slaves, to give them their allowances of food at the proper time? Blessed is the slave whom his master will find at work when he arrives. Truly I tell you, he will put that one in charge of all his possessions. He will put that one in charge of all his possessions. But if the slave says to himself, my master is delayed in coming, and if he begins to beat the other slaves, men and women, and to eat and drink and get drunk, the master of the slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour that he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. That slave who knew what his master wanted but did not prepare himself or do what was wanted will receive and serve beatings. Now check this out. Now I'm glad. Now normally I don't use this version of the Bible, but I have to have it because sometime, again, with this being an independent Catholic church and when they be on their Catholic cycle, there's sometimes books that's in the Catholic Bible that's not in the King James or the Protestant Bible no more. It used to be. They took them out because their ideology, their purpose for indoctrination. The Catholics don't have them all in it because, again, indoctrination. Now, I say that and I'm gonna go backwards because I want to deal with this slave thing right now because it's funny how they use this word slave. And as I was reading it, it was really aggravating me because the word slave, and I don't like that word in particular, not in embracing spirituality. I don't have to be a slave to no one for nothing. Now, in Matthew, Jesus says, now that you know your master, no longer are you slaves, but now you're children, sons and daughters of the Most High Creator. So, now, but if I'd have probably read the King James Version, then it may not have said slaves. It may have, more than likely, the King James Version says servants. So, the thing is, at what point, now I get that this is, and most people think that the four gospel books are the New Testament, but they're not. They're not the New Testament. The four gospels is the culmination of the Old Testament ushering in the New Testament. Listen to what I said. The four gospels are not the New Testament, even though it's listed and they have the page say New Testament. Common sense tell you it's not. Now, I'm going to tell you where the New Testament started out of the so-called New Testament. The so-called New Testament start in the book after the book of Acts, which is written to the Romans. Now, mind you, the Romans, remember, all these people wasn't, what we hear here, what we see in here, is these people take and glorify or event that tried to annihilate a people. So never am I comfortable with using the connotation of slave, right? I'm not comfortable using the connotation of slaves because it really wasn't something that was very good for society. Society called heck. Thank you, Sister Rita. Good morning. Society called heck because of it. And so, why would I glorify? But anyway, I don't like those words, but I do like that he says, be ready. In other words, what that scripture is talking about in Luke is for yourself to be ready, be prepared. Don't let someone else. What's up, brother? How you doing? What's happening? Yeah, okay, look, you can catch up. I'm talking out of Luke right now. Luke, the 12th chapter, and then we're going to go to Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter, to finish it off, which was the first reading, but I'm going backward. Because in this book, they was talking about slaves, and, you know, I ain't about that slave stuff. So I'm saying that they're using that word as according to what version of the Bible you have, what it would say, but I don't think that the King James would. But anyway, so I was saying that the four Gospels are not the New Testament. And so you still hear, that's why you hear lingo and stuff that's consistent with when that was popular. And it's not to you, the book of Acts is not the New Testament because the book of Acts, listen to this, the book of Acts is the establishment of the New Testament church. The New Testament church was put together. It was assimilated. The ways of service, worship, and what they wanted to do and be. Then after that, they start going out to the Europeans to teach them the way of God. Because this came from Africa, and it was Africans that God put in charge of spreading it. And then when you look, and so then that's the truth. It's the truth. You could read, prove, make me out a liar, but I know I'm not. If you look in Rome, these people was animals, cannibals, and everything else. And when they came in and took charge, then, you know, a lot of things that we see today that people accept almost as the norm was introduced to a people that live holy and righteously. So you have a people that was living holy and righteousness now are being over-inundated with a people that have no balance. And see, that's what we got to get our history. If we get our true history, then we go back to being who we were. And the three of us on here right now, Michelle, Rodney, we all in the same age group. So we had that memory of when Sister Loretta McCraney came in, and Sister Retta, she a little senior to all of us, so we all remember when family mattered, when things mattered, when even if your family didn't have nothing but a name, the name meant something. And so now they have our young people thinking that belittling themselves, you know, it's cool because they're doing it. It shows how deeply in trouble we are as a people, that we have been made to feel that it's okay for us to belittle ourselves. Yourself, you have people that died that you be treated with dignity. When you see pictures of queens back in the days, done nicely. I'm not the one to think you can't wear pants and you have to always wear. I don't believe in all that foolishness. But when you see people's brothers dressed in suits, which I prefer African stuff, but still, with the hats on and stuff, when a man passed a woman, he tilted his hat. Why? Because his crown, he was offering his crown to that queen. See, that's the crown. That's your crown, not the gadget you put on this, your head. But anyway, so we respected each other, but now you don't have that. Now people disrespect themselves. So obviously, if they disrespect themselves, they have nothing but disrespect for everything that they come in touch with. It's not until you begin to get the plan of the enemy. You see what the plan is here. This book here is for white people, because the Roman Catholicism is a white religion. Now, a lot of black people go, but you have to remember, in Louisiana, if your family comes from Louisiana down the line, whether they were slave or free, they had to be Roman Catholic. It was the law. It's the law. You could check it out now. You could pull it up. Blacks could only practice Roman Catholicism once upon a time in the state of Louisiana. They couldn't do nothing else, be nothing else. This is how much control. So when you talk about slave, this white people saying that you are their slave. Now, the black man said, listen to this, the black man, which they call Jesus, which first was Horus, says that you're not slaves, you're free. For those who the Son set free are free indeed. So now, why is it so important to point out, and why am I spending so much time on this? Because some people will walk away from this further endangering themselves, because they're going to say, oh, I'm a slave for the gospel. You have to stop saying you're a slave for the gospel. You ain't asked to be a slave for no gospel. For first learn that how they divided the book. First learn why they put the book together the way they put it together. And then, let me say this to you. If I didn't think God was in the book, I wouldn't use it. So don't get it twisted that I don't believe in the book, because I do. But, Sister Loretta, I'm going to let you speak in a second.
Go ahead.
I believe in the book wholeheartedly, but I don't believe that in every dot and tittle, because I know what happened. I know what they done. But you find some real connection to God in here. But, I get it overstanding. They say get understanding, but God didn't put us under anything. So if I overstand, then that means I get who God have called me to be. I am not a slave. Don't ever call me a slave, and don't tell me I'm a servant. I'm not a servant. I'm a willful participant. A slave have no choice. A servant have no choice. You're under the rule of someone else, and you have no choice. A free person get to choose what they want to do and why they want to do it. And if you choose to do it, then you're not a slave or a servant. You're a willing participant. Do we get it? Do that make sense? Do that make sense to you? So, in the parable, then Peter asks in this parable, Peter said, now, is this just for us, your disciples? Or it's just as the way things are to be in times to come? And it was said that it's for those who follow the way. Now, the way of God. So, newsflash, I often say this, people think that they have to hear from God through their pastor. That's not the truth. If your pastor don't bring it to you, listen to this, if your pastor don't bring it to you, then God didn't speak it. That's not the truth. Now, one would like, listen to this, one would like for God to speak through them as a pastor to the lives of the people, but not in trying to gear them or guide them into where they want them to be, but where they really see the call of God is in that person's life. As being a pastor, God is supposed to open your eyes to the people around you. You're supposed to get them. know who they are. And sometimes, I'm not a forceful person. Again, I believe in free will and choice, but I tell you what I think. And I guess in a sense, it's kind of a fault of mine. I would call that a part of my thorn in the side, that I'm too liberal when it comes to free will and choice. I'm very liberal. I don't want you to violate mine, and I don't violate yours, but I think that because I think when you come into yourself, because this is what happened with me. When I came into myself and when I really started seeing what God was doing with me and wanting to do with me, then I was good. I just went all in. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I went in as a slave. I went in as a servant. I really did. I'm telling you that. I did it not because I went in setting up the church and breaking it down, not because I was sweeping the floors and cleaning the toilet. That didn't make me a slave nor a servant. Again, that made me a willing participant because I chose to do those things. I wasn't asked to do them. I just did them because they needed to be done. But what made me a slave and a servant is because I didn't study to show myself approved before God. So I didn't get that a workman needed not to be ashamed, that the workmen themselves have to learn how to rightly divide the word of truth. And because of that, I saw things going on that I just wanted to be a part of. I saw people with the long, repetitive prayers. They're praying so long, they're starting to repeat. And then I wish I could pray like that. And I saw people, just things happening, and I wanted to do that because I come out of Catholicism, which was quiet and standoffish to these people all and making noise, dancing, shouting. And then I figured out later down the line that that's really not my way of worship. I'm hard of hearing. I like God to come to me in that still, quiet voice, but I can't always make God, because it's not my choice how God come to me. It's not your choice how God come to you. One day I came to this church to quit, and the sister that sit over there, she was praying because she prayed because she's a fire prayer. So I don't pray, she prayed. I mean, I know how to talk to God, but I talk to God, like this, and people don't like that because people like excitement, but I just feel like it's a interchangeable relationship. God say, I dwell inside of you, but nevertheless. So she was praying and stuff. So she prayed and she speak in tongue. And that's funny, in the Catholic setting, somebody speak in tongue. But we believe in whatever God do with you, that's what God do with you. We don't pull no punches. But anyway. So I had made up my mind. I had talked with God. I got the answer. God told me I had did all I needed to do, and I was about to quit. And she went into, God said, don't let people run you from where I place you. I remember, I almost could quote what she said because God was speaking to me through her. Because for everything that came out of her mouth, and she didn't even know what she was saying and stuff, it was purely God. Everything that came out of her mouth was things that I was feeling in my heart. So she was speaking my heart. God was speaking my heart through her as a vessel. And nobody knew but me. And I said, damn, God, you made me think. I said, damn, God, not again. You made me think that I was ready, but I think it was more me just wanting to get away than it was God saying, get away. But anyway, so now that's shit, about 8-10 years later, I'm still here. So I had, at one time, I was trying to get out of here so bad because I just don't feel like sometimes I'm good for this place, I feel like maybe new blood, but for some reason, God is showing it to be like an Exodus period, and God just had to purge it. And the one thing that's for certain is that we not here because we so good. We here because God had us on it. Because now we don't have but maybe 5 or 6 of us, and we keep it afloat somehow. So God is about to do something. I'm convinced. But I say that to say I was a slave because I wanted to be like people. I was a slave because I thought the things that society dictated was the right thing, or the way to do things was the way. Then I started reading the Bible for myself. And then, like I tell y'all, I always talk about 2 Timothy 2:15, and study to show yourself approved before God. When I found that scripture, and then I started reading, and I'm saying, wait a minute. I started reading Matthew 23 and said, watch out for those who stand on the street corners and make long, pretentious prayers, for they broaden their phylacteries, meaning their prayer box. People used to write prayer requests and put in a box. It's called phylactery. Start out small, then they get bigger and bigger, the more popular they get. We see this in today's time. Now, all these big churches, and it's all what it is. It's a scam. It really is a scam. And so he said, be careful. Those whose loneliness tend to see some Moses and put heavy burdens on people's shoulders and won't take one finger to lift them off. And all. So I started reading all this stuff, and I said, wow, I had to repent in a sense, but I learned something. See, God was teaching me. And so I went to a theology class for a year, but it's not for me. God wanted to teach me from the raw. And so I could be, so living my own life and being a slave, and I stopped shooting pool for years. I just started back to shooting pool because everything was demonic. Because the game is all the money you spending outside the church, you could put in the church, and I could live fat off of y'all. That's the game. But for those of us who really believe in the Most High Creator, who know that the Most High Creator said, I'll never see the righteous forsaken, nor my seed bake bread, you don't have to scam people. You don't have to get over on people. That's what Jesus told the Pharisees. You're living in error, you're teaching in error. Nothing y'all doing is beneficial to the kingdom. So you have to ensure that whatever person you sit, and you call your pastor, whatever, that you know the truth for you. You cannot let someone else dictate and determine your truth. You have to know your truth in God. The Bible said that people will come with any wayward doctrine and lead you astray. But if you root it, that's why he talk about the seeds. The seeds don't fall on bad ground that never even try to do nothing. Then those who fall on shadow ground, they tried, but they didn't go down far enough. Because once a tree begins to grow, then it needs a solid enough foundation that it can stand upon. And if once the foundation loses its capability of supporting the weight of the tree, then boom, the tree goes. So if we dig our roots deep, deep, deep in the ground in God, and we begin to stand on that God says is true, then no weapon formed against you will prosper. Again, the devil come to rob, to steal, to kill, and destroy. Jesus said, but I come that you might have life, and have life more abundantly. Now the question is, what's abundant life? See, that's the question. And see, because we have been taught, listen to this. In 1954, some fake Jews in 1954 came up with this scam, with a scheme. They sat down at a table and had a summit. And they said, black people are starting to come into money. How are we going to get them to be stupid and spend up all their money? So this is why you see commercialization like it is. And look, I'm kind of guilty because I have a bunch of shoes and watches, right? But when we was a kid, man, you had a pair of tennis, maybe two. But I ain't never had two as a kid. We had one pair of tennis. You wore them suckers to the hose got, and then you got another pair. It's just like, now, people have 30, 100, 200 pair of tennis. Really? And they brag on that, but think about that. Sit back and look and exercise some decent common sense and see if that's something to brag about. I ain't lying. And I'm guilty on the shoe part and the watch part, but I just like them. But nevertheless, we are made to be slaves, to think like slaves. So when they say slave, this is the thing, this is the plan that they put in place for you. They put this plan in place for you to follow it, that you might remain a slave. So they say, no, we don't have you physically enslaved, but we control your mind. A fake Jew, I had a picture of it. He says, we look at black people like liquid money. He said, we put it in their hand because they work for us. We put it in their hand, they pour it right back in our hand. They don't even keep it. It don't circulate in their community nothing. And our community used to circulate money better than any community in the world. it's a proven fact. It can be proven that money at once upon a time circulated 113 times in the African community, and now it circulates one time from African out. So we have to get better. So we fell for the okie doke. So the stuff that they was talking about in Luke, with those being prepared and those not, they was talking about light. In Matthew 5, you say you are the light of the world. That means something. The smallest amount of light can prick a vast amount of darkness. But if you don't know what it means to be a light, see, you can take, people complain all the time about that they need to exist on the planet. Rain. When it rains, people complain, but without rain, we wouldn't live. We can't live. Now, they're messing up the earth, like the Amazon burning up. What you think gonna happen? See, people don't know that trees. See, people think that a tree bearing fruit means an orange tree have to produce oranges because that's its purpose. But they have trees, their whole purpose is to filter the air, that you can have some air to breathe, because all that poison they putting out in the atmosphere, guess what we doing? We breathing it in. Like get it overstanding. So anyway, so they're saying some people prepare. Like I was talking to somebody the other day. I know people, when I was working, I was young, and they showed me what I wasn't gonna be. So I used to, if you step in pool and you say it stink, I'm going to believe your word on it. I don't want to step in it to smell it. I'm going to believe that you know. So I watched these old guys I used to work with. They used to trick all their money out and laugh about it. But then you retire Friday and you're back to work Monday, because you can't afford to live off of what you're going to be getting in retirement, so you got to work a couple of days a week. No. I think that if you want to work past retirement years, that's your thing. But I think if I would work doing my own thing. I wouldn't work on the plantation. I mean, that tells me that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You didn't sit down, you didn't plan, and you didn't execute a plan. Well, you can't execute a plan that you don't have. That's why I say if you feel the plan, you plan to feel. That's one plan that you must have, a plan for your elder years, because it's coming, baby. Just keep saying good morning. As we all know, it came to us. We're all in our 50s, and Sister Red in her 60s. But anyway, so are you ready? Are you prepared? Or are you one that when they come back and say that you didn't prepare yourself, so now you have to suffer the consequences of. Now you have to be a slave for the rest of your life, because the system on you, because you didn't plan well enough for you to have a decent retirement. We all know when we get older, we seen our dads and our moms get old. We seen our grandma and grandpas get old. We seen our uncles, great uncles, cousins, brothers, and all that get old. We seen that when people start getting old, they start ailing. We seen when people get old, a sickness come upon them. We seen that. We have these crooks talking about you can fight away sickness, and sickness is sin. No, sickness is the curse. Well, for them, a curse of years, but for years for me is a blessing. But sickness is just something that come on. Notice this, and I'm going to go to Ecclesiastes after this. When Jesus cast out when he healed people, he was casting out spirits, evil spirits that had taken over them. He wasn't just casting out diabetes, high blood pressure. If that's the case, think about that. If diabetes and all that stuff is hereditary, think about it. It's hereditary. Then how can you be at fault for having it if you have no part in it coming upon you? A child that's born with type 1 diabetes is their fault? Come on, man, let's start thinking here. We was taught not to be thinking people, but some of us do abuse our bodies. We abuse ourselves. We eat too much. We drink too much. We intake too much. So, there's a lot of things we do. So then in the back end, we pay for it. Now, one good thing about the body is God created the body so unique that you can get back on track and it'll repair itself if it's not too far gone. So, in other words, prepare yourself for what you know is the inevitable. That getting old. Getting old. So when we get old, we have aches and pains. We go to the doctor. Try to have yourself set up with some kind of health care. Instead of having, I know people that, they're marvel in having, posts. But when I talk about going to the doctor, you gonna pay for it? I'm like, well, I mean, you had a career, I thought that was set up out, not being critical, but I'm saying that we have been taught to make things that's non-important. You remember the Bible says that tradition of man is make the word of God of non-effect. If we stand on the word of God and get away from the tradition of man, which is materialism, sexism, racism, all the schisms and schisms, if we get away from all these things and we opt out, so we're not a part of that rat race, we live in peace, your pressure will go down, everything, you stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, you celebrate with people when they accomplish, and when you accomplish, hopefully somebody celebrate with you. This is the thing, you do these things, your life become a lot more simplistic. And you give back. So when in Matthew 23, then I am going to Ecclesiastes. In Matthew 22, when Jesus said that they put heavy loads on people's shoulders and won't take one finger. When you change the way you think, if you do what Romans 12:1-2 say, beseech you, brothers, by the mercy of God, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Listen to that. Holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service unto God. You're not doing nothing exceptional. You have to change, though. Be not conformable, be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. When you renew your mind, you renew how you do what you do. So you start thinking about the things that you do and the impact it have not only on you, but on those around you. Because remember, your children, your grandchildren, whatever, are computers. They watch you. They learn from you. So anyway, when we start being conscious of what we're doing and how we're treating ourselves, then we start treating ourselves better and things get better for us. I remember when I stopped drinking at 33, I went to the doctor 3 months later. He asked me, did I drink? I said, I stopped drinking 3 months ago. He said, good, because your liver is starting to show high, numbers is high. So I'm glad I didn't stop drinking because of that. I stopped drinking before that, but nevertheless, God stopped me from drinking. I thought I stopped, but God stopped me because I was starting to destroy that God holds precious. That's me. God holds me precious. So I'm not God's servant. I'm not God's slave. I'm God's son. And God is my father. And we love each other equally. Do you get it, though? That's the Bible says you are sons and daughters of God. That's what it says, right? Mm-hmm. And now we know if we tell the truth as a parent, if you have a few children, they have that one that you might favor a little bit, but you can't say that. In some cases you can say because people do it. I wouldn't say it. But we had an unwritten rule, a thing in my house where my youngest daughter gravitated more than me, my oldest daughter to my wife, but we gravitated to each other and we all cool to today. But it's just the way it is. So we just have to learn how to be real about this whole relationship thing that we have with God, because it says we have a relationship. Relationship means that we in cahoots, we in oneness, we in unity with each other, right? Now, a relationship can be positive and it can be toxic. But actually, toxic connection is not a relationship. It's not really a relationship because the word relationship is intended with a positive connotation. But nevertheless, now we'll go to Ecclesiastes and 9 and start at 13. And at 13 it said, I have also seen this example of wisdom under the sun. And he talks about the king, that came against the city. He talks about the king Sunshine, good morning, baby. He talks about the king that came against the city. Now check this out. This is how hypocritical people are. You want to say something on this, sister? Just
Go
tight
ahead.
now. You sure?
Yeah. Mhm.
He talk about here. It's a good example of what we see daily. But I often tell people when people say people use you, people not using you. They using themselves because I tell people, why would you try to get over on somebody that would do it for you anyway? What sense that make? You the stupid one, not them. You get it? You the stupid one, not them, because they would have did it for you anyway. But now once it's exposed and God gonna expose you that you're trying to get over, then now you're not gonna have the support that you would have had if you just would have came clean from the beginning. Do that make sense? So he's telling us here about wisdom. Remember, wisdom is better than silver and gold. Wisdom is the thing that tells us tells us how we have evolved in maturity in God. When I was a child, I did childish things. I thought like a child. I spoke like a child. But now that I'm a man, I have to sit those childish things aside. Now I get it. There's some time when I go back to them because, growing up is just old-grown children sometimes. But when it comes down to certain things, I can't play no more. When it comes down to things that benefit my life, that's going to affect my life until I check out of here, I have to be serious about that. And your health is important. Your financial well-being is important. Things like that. If you give all your money to other people, if you put all your money in church, what you going to have? Because trust me, I said this a couple of weeks ago. My brother was telling me about this guy who got some money. He donated $100,000 to his church. Now he can't pay his light bill. The church wrote him a check for $150. That's it. This is all you get. This $150, take this, and whatever else, that's on you. But that $100,000, that's ours, which is correct now. It's correct that once you give it, it's no longer yours. But the thing is that one would think that with somebody being so generous, see what we have to get, and wisdom taught me, we are not here to see who could be the richest. We're not here to see who dressed the best. We're not here to see who pull up in the fanciest car. Let me tell you something. No matter what kind of car you have, when I was telling somebody that the other day, they were saying somebody had this really nice car and name brand car. I say, but every time, I say, wherever they at, who be there? And they couldn't get it at first. I say, you be there. So obviously the car you have brings you there. You see, so we get caught up in stuff. Just like for me, since I was a child, I wanted a Cadillac and a Corvette. So I've been looking at Cadillacs. But then I have a Chevrolet Malibu that's the same size as Cadillac, the same design, everything. It just would have more bells and whistles. So do it really make more sense? Am I as mature, or do I have as much wisdom as I think I have if I make that move? Is that a wise move for me and beneficial to my family? Is it? Or I'm just getting caught up in the rat race? Because remember, the great prophet Bob Marley says, in the rat race, he said, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty, referring to the first song that says, if you follow God, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of God and sit in the seat of scornful, standing where the sinners. But their delight is in the law of the law on which they meditate day and night. They should be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, where the leaves should never wither. So if I'm in God, but it said, but one who do not, then he said your leaves wither away. So the thing is that, where am I in God? Where am I at can I tell myself the truth and be comfortable? Because guess what? The truth still is the truth. You can lie to yourself if you want to, and many of us do it. We have been taught to do it. The one big lie most of us tell when we start gaining weight, I lost some weight, or I still look, all that old stuff. No, stop lying to yourself so you can do something to work towards getting better. So you can work towards fixing what need to be fixed. But if nothing is broken, there's nothing to be fixed. Come on, people. Stop. So wisdom tell you, be true. To thine own self be true. And if I would be true to myself, then I can walk in the power thereof. Now look, he said, I have the example of seeing with. He said, there was a little city where a few people in the city, Now that reminds me of our little church, a few people. But when we used to give health fairs, the people that used to come, they used to say that they would get more people come to our little health fair with this little bit of church than they would get at Walmart all day, sitting at Walmart. So the point that I'm making is not us, is that we know how to serve humanity. See, because we get what God says, what God means when God says, suffer not the little children, for such is the kingdom. That we get, I never see the righteous forsaken, nor my seed bake bread. We get what God says is that when a brother or sister is down, that you pray for them, and the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. We get that. See, we get that when I was sick, did you visit me? When I was hungry, did you feed me? See, we get that. So it's simplistic for us, because none of us come here to get rich, to gain. We come here to serve, not God. We come here, we bring our God to serve humanity. Listen to that. We don't come here in this building to serve God. That you don't go, you the church. You serve God by serving humanity. Get it. And all thy getting, get it overstanding. But we're taught we got to come in and make all this noise, and if you're not making noise, you're not connected to it. That's your way. That ain't my way. You do you. Let me do me. My thing is, if this wisdom that Solomon speaks of here in Ecclesiastes, this wisdom is saying that you have to think outside of your box. You have to know. So Solomon is saying, okay, you hold all these big entities. Listen to this. My partner was telling me this last week. He said, and I've been told him, I said, Ben, I'm telling you, so you all go to them big churches. Now you got a problem. So you want to talk to your pastor, you get a 3-month date down the line, and 3 months, 10 other things will be done happen in your life. So then you see you can't get no service where you go, so now you want to call one of us at 2 o'clock in the morning and all that. And I've been stopped to call call where the place that you call your place of service, or where you go to bring your God to serve humanity, is the place that's also supposed to serve you. And your need of being comforted in your humanity. So you all want to call us because you can't get in touch with your pastor. You can't, don't call. Well, I stopped it years ago. I used to do all that. Because then I told my friend, she said, oh, Pastor, they say they go there, but their minds, I said, I'd be on the phone with them 3 o'clock. I said, because they won't. I said, they say just what they meant. See, people know what they're saying. They know what they mean. And they say just what they meant. And that's what you have to go on what they say. Out of the abundance of the heart. Listen to this, the Bible says. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Men speak, men live, men speak, men die. The power of life and death is in the tongue. The mouth, the tongue is a powerful thing. It's the smallest, one of the smallest, but most powerful muscles in the whole of the body. That's what the Bible says. So anyway, now wisdom tells me now I have to do better planning for myself, because the truth is the church don't have my back. Now, the church is the people. Now, if I have a relationship with the people, then they're going to look out for me. I'm going to look out for them. But I'm talking about the entity, because you can put all the money you want to. Most entities going to give you the $150 check, and you good. That's all you're going to get. Now, here, when we had money, we paid people bills $1,000. They bought me a van, So when we had money, we was generous. So here we know how to do it. My quest is, and I'm not asking for a dime, But God's going to put the right people in the right place. 'Cause I do want to get back to the point where we can help people. But one thing we don't do and we don't believe in is fattening the fatted calf. Hey, big sister, love you, girl. We don't believe in fattening the fatted calf. So if you put money, or if you send money to the devil, it's not going to me, because guess what? Bishop is taking care of. God have me. God have blessed my life. I told y'all that. I never should write to Satan in my secret grave. You don't have to be deceptive or nothing. God take care of you. I know it for a fact. I was sharing this with my sister on yesterday. She on here now. I was telling her, I said, Brent, you just have to line yourself up with what you want, and you work towards it. You run into some obstacles, but you focus on that what you want, and God's going to see that you achieve it if it's righteousness in God. I'm telling you, I live this. I'm telling you, people, most of you on here know me personally. I do not speak what I don't believe and what I don't live. If you see me anywhere, you'll see my life reflects what I speak. It's the way I am. So anyway, so when I look at this wisdom, and I look at this because we being a small pastor, and I brought up people coming to the small churches when they need service because they can't get service in a big church. And once they get back, then they go back and be fake and phony again. But that's why another scripture I use all the time is Matthew 7:13. Broad and wide is the gate that lead to the road to destruction, and men will find it. Narrow and straight is the road that lead to the gate of salvation, only few will find it. So here he says, now the king took the city. And basically a poor wise man, he was wise. He got the city back for him. But guess what? No one would go and say thank you. They didn't even acknowledge that it was the actions of this wise person. Why? Because he wasn't a big name person. You know, the names that we're accustomed to seeing. Because they don't put themselves out on Front Street as if they're the big kahuna, because they know it's God that's doing it anyway. So he saved the city, but the city was thankless, not thankful. And so how many times have you done that? How many times have you went into a situation that was tough and you helped to straighten that situation out, and the only things you got is a foot in your butt? You got kicked in the butt. But here's the deal on that. If that's the case, this not your work, this God's work. God said, I never see the righteous forsaken, nor my seed bake bread. My sister on here, she get mad with me because I'm addicted to addicted people. Now I have an addictive personality. I was addicted to drugs, alcohol years ago. So now I'm addicted to people and trying to help people, I'm told. My therapist actually told me that. But the people that I help the most, I try to help the most, are people with real issues like alcoholism, because I was alcoholic, drug issues, abuse in life, abuse in life, just stuff like that. And I try to help them because, I come from that kind of stuff, and I get it. But sometimes I take it on too personally. So my therapist, of course, I tell my therapist everything. That's the one person that I know I trust with everything. So anyway, you try to help people, but then I'm reminded, I told somebody, I said, but remember this, love. I said, see, you can't get caught up in you. See, this can't be about you. This have to be about the willingness to serve humanity, and that's where it stopped at. Because if you're familiar with leprosy was like the AIDS of that time. When people got leprosy, they would be exiled into an island where they all stayed because it was contagious, and they didn't have a cure for it. And those who were just starting signs, they would have to cover up, and when they walked in the room, they had to say unclean, true story. They had to say unclean, until they was shipped to the island where they could not return. So now, here come Jesus, harvest, whatever you want to call him. Now, this same person told him, he says, you don't come because you believe. You come because you know what's going on and you come to get something. Once you get what you want, you out, which we see an example of that over and over and over again. The feeding of the 4,000, the feeding of the 5,000, and the healing of this, and then it was gone. They always was back to the same 12, and then that other little 80, 90, 120, that's it. That was basically the crowd. No matter how big the crowd got, it always reduced back down to the 12 and the 120 or so. So when he healed 10 people with leprosy, listen to this. He had 10 people with leprosy and only one went back to say thank you. The other 9, when they got what they wanted, they was out of there. So guess what, y'all? The same thing is going to happen to you. So don't get weary in well doing, so you should reap if you faint not. If you doing this with your emotions, you're going to have a hell of a time getting by. You got to do this with your spirit, because emotionally we get connected, and we should be connected emotionally because we are humans and they are humans. So we should be connected, but we can't take on them. I told this girl, this good people, I said, I'm going to tell you, with this work, you cannot take it on personally. It will wear it. Ask me. I almost had a nervous breakdown. I know what I'm talking about. Been there, done that. But you could be wise, you can help. But the thing is, with me, I used to have a bishop. You come up with ideas, then they're going to take them and present it and say it was their idea and want you to validate. I would laugh and say, as long as it get implemented in my head, it don't matter. I don't care. Who cares anyway? But so here the old wise guys saved the city, but no one came back. Now, look, verse 15. Now there was a great siege work against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than might, yet the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heeded. His wisdom is despised. You know why? Because he's not the person that they wanted to come from. Bishop Bernard Waters can't give that revelation. Bishop T.D. Jakes have to give it. Bishop T.D. Jakes is more popular. And I'm not picking on Bishop Jakes. I'm just using him as an example because I'm unknown and he's well known. But I don't have no criticism with Bishop Jakes. That's Bishop Jakes doing what he said God told him to do, and I don't do that no more. I used to, but I don't no more. Just example. But my thing is, the Bible says, listen what the Bible says. The Bible says that if I can just help one along the way, then my living is not as many. So if I don't touch as many, so what how many you touch is that you touch, but touch in righteousness. Want to see people do better, that's all. We're not here to control each other. We're here to love on each other and try to help each other be on track. Like I was sharing with them last night, if everyone lived like me, we could disband the police force today. Because I know how to self-govern. See, if you study this thing back far enough, you would see that God intended on man to self-govern. God never wanted to impose rule over man. So when they talk about the law, that was a curse because of man angering God. But God just, hey, beloved, I wish that you should prosper, be in good health, even as your soul should prosper, be in good health, even as your soul should prosper, mean that you now are out of the foolishness and you're in God. All these things happen with right relationship with God. It's not rocket science. Remember, Jesus said in Matthew 11:25, I thank you from hiding from the wise and the prudent and revealing it to the babes. Remember, in the other reading, he's talking about the prudent. The prudent is not seen that beneficial in the eyes of God. So everybody wants to say, I'm doctor, I'm reverend doctor, and I don't have nothing against it. Whatever compliment you make, if you think that's going to better your means of giving society what they need from God through you, then go for it. It don't work for me. But I'm saying you don't have to have those letters in front or behind your name for you to be successful in the things of God. Because remember, the Bible say you are God. You are God. The Bible say that. Not Bernard. The Bible, if you look in Psalms 82 and 6, it's going to say you are little God. If you look in Matthew, Jesus tell the Pharisees, when they told Pharisees, when the Pharisees want to stone, he said, what is it my works you want to stone me for? They say, for you make yourself equal with God. And he says to them, he posed a question to them. So, see, they're supposed to be the religious leaders, but they don't know. They're so indoctrinated with stupidity, with religion, that they miss spirituality. He said, isn't it written in your law that you are gods? He posed the question. Now, this to the church leaders. He said, isn't it written in your law that you're gods? Now, if the church leader don't know that they are gods, how are they going to tell you you're God? How can I teach what I do not know? How can I lead where I'm not willing to go? So now, Jesus posed the question. Now, this Jesus supposed to be the one that y'all, some of y'all still asking Jesus for stuff when Jesus said, my work was finished, my work is done, I go to be with the Father now. And Jesus don't say, ask me for nothing no more. He said, I connected you back straight to God. But y'all don't get it, because here's why you don't get it. And all thy getting, get it understanding, they tell you. And y'all understand. And all thy getting, get it overstanding. I say, you get it. Get that you've been connected back to God, so you don't need now a mediator. The mediation is over. This is what grace is. Mercy is when Jesus stood in our stead. Grace is now that the gift has been awarded. Look in John 17. And Jesus is a prayer. Jesus said, Father, this is what Jesus said. Jesus said, Father, I'm not asking you to take them out of the world, but I'm asking you to take the world out of them. Listen to this. Sanctify them with thy word, for thy word and truth. What does it mean to be sanctified? Mean to be made holy, mean to be set apart, mean to be given grace. So if you claim that you sanctified, you've been given grace, then the Bible says where sin abound, grace even more abound. Why? Because I don't practice sin, because I get Romans 12, 1 and 2. I'm not conformed, I'm transformed, my mind is renewed. Now, no longer is it I that live, but it's God that liveth in me. So when I move, my movement, my being, and the very essence of everything I do in this work is for the benefit of God's kingdom, not Bernard's kingdom, not George's kingdom, not John Milton's kingdom. That's my two bishops over me. No, it's God's kingdom. Bernard Waters worked for the kingdom of God. And anyone that know me know that I do what I'm supposed to do. Now, do you? Are you in the place? And if not, you can be, because guess what? I wasn't always here. Like if you are, you wasn't always there. But never, ever, ever pose judgment on another person. What we are supposed to see is where I was weak, I was strong. Now, when you see somebody weak, you help them, you undergird them. This is why they always put two, so they can undergird each other, because I always tell you, 95% of me is good, but 5% of me work the damn. So when that 5% is out, I need somebody to undergird me to help me stay on track, that I don't retract back and become carnal-minded me, continue to hold on to the things of old, and not receiving the fullness of the reward and the award that has been given to me, because I'm holding on to that keep me from fulfilling the fullest of my potential in God. So I have to release it, that I can have room to receive the gift now that has been posed on me. Why? Because I'm wise. I'm in this place. I'm wise. I'm giving information that's prudent, and it's not for people to get it. Sometimes they don't regard it, but then I have something that I call my Nicodemuses. I don't know if you're familiar with Nicodemus, but Nicodemus was the head of force of the guards for the power that be. He was a big boss, so he couldn't show public like for God and Jesus, Horus, whatever you call it. So at night he would sneak to Jesus and to get what he needed, because he knew that they had what he needed there. But because he wanted to satisfy the populist ideology, he couldn't do it publicly. So he professed them privately, but he couldn't profess them publicly. And so this is what a lot of you are caught up into. You go to places that you know don't meet your needs. You know don't meet the needs of your children and all this stuff. You go there, you're not getting the right stuff because you're not being told who you really are. And then when you starve and then you come to a small church pastor, you want them to give you, to feed you so you could go back and get hungry again. So again, I stopped doing that. You know, you go where you pay your tithes, that's where you get your services from. That's just the way it is. Now, again, it's not about money to me. Out of all the funerals I've done, I got paid one time. I don't worry about when people say, how much you gonna charge me? I say, what can you afford? That's the first thing I ask. What can you afford? Why? Because I'll never see the righteous forsaken nor my seed bake bread. I could live a bound on base. I come from nothing and I could live with nothing. But the thing is now that there's nothing that you can give me that I don't have. Unless, just trinkets, but I have everything I need to live life with. Everything. I have a need for nothing. I have, wants. I even have wants. But I'm not bragging. I'm not making about stuff. What I'm saying, this is not just that I have a car, blah, blah, blah. But I do have a car. I'm talking about I eat every day. I have a place to call home. I'm able to shower and keep myself fresh. I dress fairly decent, when I want to. I can, when I go out, I can buy what I'm going out to buy, and that's mostly coffee at the Waffle House at night. Just things like that. My necessities in life is met. But I was sharing with somebody the other day, but now that I can meet my necessities, it's over for me, right? I don't owe nothing to nobody else. Am I right? I don't owe nothing to nobody else because it's over for me. Now, I have me. I got mine. But then I told somebody, I said, you know why I could bless you? They said, why? I said, because I have enough for both you and I. See, God, in Genesis 12:2, in Genesis 12:2, when God told Abraham that I'm going to bless you, to leave his father's house, and I'm going to bless you, he says at the end that you might be a blessing. I can't be a blessing to someone if I'm not blessed. We have to get that. But again, the car that I have is not a determination of how blessed I am. I drive a Malibu, but I can actually afford a Cadillac. But again, I said earlier, I want a Cadillac because I said I've been wanting one. But do I really need it? Will it be doing something different for me? It's more bells and whistles. I might end up with it eventually, maybe my next car. But my wife trying to take my Malibu anyway. So anyway, but the thing, what I'm saying is that don't determine who I am. What determines who I am is, do I know this? As Dr. King said. Dr. King said in 1954 in a sermon series called A Knock at Midnight. He said, Dr. King said, when I die, he spoke his eulogy this night. That was right before he got killed. He said, when I die, he said, tell them, listen to this. He said, when I die, tell them don't talk about the 300 or 400 awards I have. He said, tell them don't talk about my Nobel Peace Prize. He said, tell them don't talk about those things. Those things not important. He said, but tell them to say, and I got it right here on the wall. In fact, I'm going to show it to y'all. Right here. If you can see. He said, I tried to be right. I did try to feed the hungry. I did try to clothe the naked. I tried to love and to serve humanity. Dr. King himself said that's what was important to him, that he be remembered by. Not what kind of car he drove. Not that he was one of the most brilliant people on the planet Earth at the time. Not that he finished school exceptionally fast. Not that he was a great orator. He could talk to a crowd of, regular people like me, or people that's highly intellectual. He said, don't say these things. Just tell them I did that. You know why? Because the Bible says that's what Jesus said, that if you did these things, it was like you did it unto Jesus. So for Dr. King, it was more important for his life to reflect God than reflect King. See, because when we get, and again, I have nothing against people going for higher education. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But when you get that, you achieve that. That's your accomplishment, and you have to have skin in the game. If you want to make your life better, you have to put skin in the game. You can't sit down. Like I say to people, if you've been on your knees 20 years praying for something, all you got is arthritis. Because when you pray, the Bible says you have to pray and press. He ain't say pray and kneel. He said you have to pray and press. Why? Because as you move and as you pressing, things going to start working themselves out, going to start falling in place. Come on now. Do I get that? So anyway, I that reminded me a lot of some of us, we that person that most people don't pay attention to or want to pay attention to, but we have affected their life in positive ways, but they don't want to acknowledge that. Then they go back, to the big establishment. But me, I don't care. I swear, I tell you that my life is so peace and comforted because I know who I am in God. If you like me, I like you. If you don't like me, I don't like you either. I'm serious about that. I don't like you. Yeah, I say it. If you don't like me, I don't like you either. We even. Trust that. I do not care. Because guess what? I know that now I impact lives in a positive way. And I was sharing this with some people. I never thought, not for one moment, that I would be in the position I'm in today. Never. I could never see myself like that, being a teenage alcoholic and drug using, product of the community. Being a product of the community and everything, I never thought that this would be my reality, but it is. So when you submit yourself to change and to God, then it's a journey for you. You don't know where you're going to end up at. For the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. No food to the wise. No, riches are wealthy to the wise. But it's given to those who endured into the end. Why? Because endured into the end means that as long as you in the race, God is with you. If you get out the race, then you out of God's grace. See, you can't lose grace, but you can walk away from it. But it's not lost. It's still there. It's just you choose not to exercise it. Again, remember, free will and choice. But if you choose God, God will choose you. Remember, the Bible says that men are called, but only a few are chosen. Now, what that means? That means that some people, you called, but what are you chosen for? Because everybody think to be called, you have to be chosen to do this, to be the pastor. But what about the prayer, Sister Loretta, and bringing that heavy prayer that she brings? What about, this one with the finances? What about the readers of the lectures they call? All these people are critical. And the service being, going to where the service is intended to go. So if we don't have, listen to this, if we don't have our stuff together, then how can we help it be together? Because Imani Temple is us. Imani Temple is just a name, but we the people are Imani Temple. Now, what do we the people Imani Temple mean to you, the whole of society? That's the question that one must ask. And finally, verse 17 and 18. Listen to this. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouting of a ruler amongst fools. Listen to that. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouting of a ruler amongst fools. Earlier I was talking about, the noise. I can't take the noise because I'm hard of hearing, but I don't like the noise. Now, there's time when I like the music, but I look at it, and you can even see the entertainment piece in it where people competing against each other. And so it kind of put me in a place where you kind of see the ballroom. I'll be sitting there and I'm looking because I'm very observant, because I'm one that's a storyteller itself. You don't have to be told, it's shown. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this one, peep his eye open to see if the other person got up yet. So he got to lay down there until she get up. And I'm like, really? Like, really? And this one girl, she went to Holy Ghost. She had on, boy, her really expensive with a high heel. And they got up to help her. They said, girl, you looking so good. We don't want you to mess that dress. She said, girl, I swear on my mom, this was a pastor's wife. She been in church her whole life. I swear, if I'm lying, I hope I drop dead on this broadcast right here. She said, this is what this lady said. This lady said, that girl, I've been doing this so long, you know I got this. You hear what I'm telling you? She said, girl, I've been doing this so long, you know I got this. I could have died right there. I'm like, this is what I desired to be like, fake and phony, because it looked right. It looked right. And when we do things because it looked right, or not because we are wise in what we're doing. He says that the quietness of and so let me tell you something. Being ex-army, we did a 25-mile walk. Now, do you know 25-mile by the time we finished, we had, blisters and everything. But you sing cadence a lot in that because to try to take your mind off of what you're doing. So noise worship takes your mind off of you being scammed. And not in every place you go they're scamming, but for the most part you're being scammed, and then you're feeling good, you got happy, they say. But when you get happy, and once you get happy, that's why you think the casino give you money. Give you drinks. They want you to get happy because you give away your money. Now when you get too happy, you get drunk, then they put you out. Because by then they figure we didn't got our money out you anyway because we gave you watered down drinks and little bitty beer. So if you that drunk, you done lost most of your money, so we don't need you no more. I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. That's the way it really goes. They don't give you, that's why they call drink spirit. It changed how you act. How many times you see people one way when they're sober, another way when they're drunk? It's spirit. So anyway, they give you that free because they're trying to get it out you. So in the church, it's the same thing. They want to get it out you. But here's the deal for me. If you go into a church where the pastor brag on having $1,000 or $2,000 shoes, $3,000-$4,000 suit on, and Eddie Murphy have a song called Oh Jaja. And then that Eddie Murphy say the preacher's taking money from welfare babies. Listen to that. Preachers taking money from welfare babies. Do you think that that's the plan of God? The Bible says in James 1:26 that the purpose of the church is to take care of the widows, the orphans, and the poor. So now let's rewind that back. Preachers taking money from welfare babies. The purpose of the church is to take care of the poor, the widows, and the orphans. Something not balancing off to me in that. So this tithing thing is a scam. Tithing is a scam the way they teach it today. Now, we could never take care of this entity without us putting money. I put money in this church. When I say tithing is a scam, when your money, for one, when you don't see, the accountability is not there, when the money is not going out to help the people in the ministry, and not that $150 for life, and the money that's being collected is not being used for something to benefit the kingdom, it's a scam. If the preacher, one of the only people rich, him and his little crew, then it's a scam. You're being scammed. And he's saying they're shouting and making noise, the fool. But guess what? Let me tell you this, and I'm about to bring it to a close. A preacher normally sees three things when they stand up to preach. If they're standing behind the pulpit, and even in a small entity like mine, a preacher normally sees three things, and those three things are three types of people. You see water people, you see gravy and potatoes, you see meat, gravy, and potato. Meaning the gravy, I saw this in a church one day, the guy didn't say nothing but holler. And they say that he's preaching, that's my kind of preaching, water people. Then people that want to live meat, they want you to read the scripture and refer a little bit, and then go to the grave with the shouting and all that. But meat, potato, and gravy people, you have to feed them. You have to give them something that they can ingest, that they can build upon, that they might become better themselves. You understand? That they might become better themselves. But if you don't, listen to this, if you don't have nothing to give, or if they ain't giving, see, so a water person, that's the person gonna walk out the church and say, Pastor preached today, Pastor preached a good sermon. And your question should be, what he preached about, or what was it about the sermon that caught your attention? I don't remember, but it was good. That's a gravy person. What was good is the moment, the feeling for the moment. But they didn't take nothing away from the experience to benefit their lives and ultimately to benefit the lives of others. Now you're a gravy and potato person. Pastor preached a good sermon. What pastor preached? Oh, he talked about helping the sick and the poor. That's it. Can't elaborate no further. That's what they got out of it. That's a little more than just gravy. But then the entertainment was enough after that. Now you got your meat, potato, and gravy person. Pastor preached a good sermon. What pastor talked about? Pastor dealt with Luke first, Luke the 12th chapter. Then he went over to Ecclesiastes 9th chapter. He talked about, the wise person that heeded a strong voice that saved the city, opposed to those who followed the fool with the noise and the shout, and they'll start going into some detail about what it was, because it caught them in their detail. They chronicalized it because they want to go back and get it, that they might impart the word of wisdom into their life that they can impart into the lives of others. Because remember, you're not here for your own self. You're here for yourself, yes, to get better, that you might help others, right? So anyway, so that's the three type of people that they see when they're looking out there. And those who are experienced can quickly identify those people. And you'll see, and I'm telling you this because you could look from now, you'll see how they focus on, it's according to what they're doing at the moment, what people they focus on, because they already pinpointed those people. So anyway, so be careful about all the noise. All the noise could be distraction. Right? You could get caught up in so much noise that you don't see what's going on around you. I used to tell my youngest daughter all the time, she was like me, like to go to the second line and stuff. Like, go. I don't mind you going. Go enjoy life, live. That's your culture, your experience. But pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Why I say it repetitively? Because that we have to get. Most of us are totally oblivious to what's going on around us, whether it be as we travel, whether it be the people that we be around calling our friends, and that they don't mean us no good. Listen to that. People, and the great prophet Bob Marley say, who the counterfeit let the way. He said, your worst enemy can be your best friend, and your best friend your worst enemy. He says, he who eat and drink with you, then behind your back they stick it to you, because only your friends know your secret, and only he or she can reveal it. And he say, who the counterfeit, let them wear it. That's why you have to be careful who you call a friend. In fact, I don't use the friend word that regularly. Very rare. I don't use it because I think it's misused, and the level of friend I am, most people can't accommodate that type of friendship. Because when I'm your friend, I roll with you all the way. All the way. I'm ride or die, straight up. And most people are not ride or die. Most people are, as this book said, out as here. It says, both in Luke and it says here in Ecclesiastes, are after what's beneficial to them, what's best for them. They don't even take time out to think the people or the process that helped them become better. Just like Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice. He was a product of a set-aside program, but then when he got in the Supreme Court, set-aside program wasn't no good. the thing that helped you become what you are, now you taking away from someone else, trying to achieve what you achieved. How is that right? Think about that. And that's why I say, once I get my thing together and I start working with kids, they're going to have to obligate themselves to come back and sow some time. Now, that's if we pay for the education, then they have to come back, and because they have to sow back into what was sold into them. If they pay for their own education, they could go. But we are not going to get better if we just learn and leave. We have to learn, grow, and teach people within, and then we have to come together as a people. We have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing our people. We not heeding the voice we not heeding the voices of the wisdom, the wise. We listening to fools that have not our interests at heart. Listen to the commercials that's coming on TV right now. Everybody that's running for office now, I stand with President Trump because the dummy, the idiot is popular. Now, don't know nothing. He clueless, but this how these people are. They cliquish, they clannish, and they don't give a damn about you, your family, your wealth, your surroundings, or nothing. All they care about is themselves. They show it every day. Now, I stand with President Trump because they think that's going to give them favor. Now, I stand with Bernard because Bernard stands in God. Now here, I'm with Trump. Listen to this. I am with Trump on the China trade thing. I'm with him. Because if you keep dumping all your money there, then they're gonna take this place over without firing a bullet. I'm with him there. But some of that other stuff, that's just foolishness. But there's some stuff that's going on that you have to pay close attention to. Now, this China thing you might not think is important to you, but if you do some research and study how much money is being dumped over there and how our dollar is being affected, if you do some international travel like I do, you'll see that the value of the dollar is changing. A lot of where the dollar was the primary currency is losing that now. So you have to see what's going on. So he have something there. But most of that other stuff that fool is doing, no. If he talking about real estate, you better listen to him. You know what he talking about. He talking about governance. You better close your ears because he don't know what he talking about. All right? So anyway, don't be so stupid into thinking that someone that's doing something don't know nothing about nothing. Everybody knows something about something. It's your job to figure out what they know about what and what's beneficial to you. Remember, we talk about eating the meat and spitting out the bone. Eating the meat and spitting out the bone. You can learn from anybody. Don't think that you can't. But you have to be wise enough to process thought. See, that's what they talk about here in Ecclesiastes. He says, the quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouting of a ruler amongst fools. A ruler among fools. Remember, broad and wide is the gate that lead to the road of destruction. The men will find it. Narrow and straight is the gate that lead to the road of salvation. Only few will find it. And Jesus said, for the blind leading the blind, where they end up in the ditch. Remember, y'all. Remember. Even the fake story, I'm going to be like Trump, say the fake story. Even the fake story about the heavens emptied and the angels came down and a third of the heaven emptied because they followed Satan. Then the Pope told you that the Romans created the devil when we wanted to take over control of the black people, so we gave them something to fear. Because if we don't give them nothing to fear, then they're going to see that we're not equal to them. We was the first people. They tried to be equal with you. They literally tried to steal your lineage, your history, and the things that they can't steal, then they make evil. Then that's where you get, that's demonic, that's Pharisaic, or that's, no, not Pharisaic, but what they say is, what's that word they use with, when something is pagan and all that stuff, because they don't get it. They say it's pagan, like the Bible tell you about the sun. The sun is life, not the S-O-N, the S-U-N. December the 25th is not about the S-O-N, it's about the S-U-N. It's the rebirth of the S-U-N because it's the furthest away from the earth. And on the 23rd, it starts working, it's the furthest, and on the 25th, it starts working its way back. On the 23rd, it works away, and on the 25th, God created that, it works its way back. And that's the give of life. This is where this whole Christmas story comes from. So now we celebrate our S-O-N. But the SON, based on biblical accounts, could never be born December 25th. We know that. So when you celebrate, okay, you celebrate, but be careful what you celebrate, because remember, commercialization have taken over everything. And what we end up doing is we end up falling right into the trap that they set for us in 1954. I said this earlier for those of you who are know. In 1954, those so-called Jews, those people who could never be Jews because they're not the right people, they sat down and said, okay, black people are starting to come into money. What can we do to get them to start spending up their money? How can we get it out of them? So they created all this commercialization. So now they have our people sitting out at a shoe store, overnight sleeping, to buy a pair of shoes to walk out on the street and step in urine and feces and all that stuff. Do that make sense? Is that important? But then that same person, when their child graduated high school, can't produce a dime to help their kid go further in education. They have to go beg the government now. And I don't have no issues with getting money from the government with grants and all. I don't have no issue with that, because the government don't have no money. The money the government hold on to, that's our money. We put that money there. I don't have no issue. But I also have, as a parent, as a father, as a grandfather, I have a responsibility to put some skin in the game. I can't sit around and wait for everything to happen from someone else. I can't use FEMA as my exit strategy, because I know I live in New Orleans and I'm gonna have to, I know it at some point, evacuate again. Another Katrina may come. I can't use FEMA. I have to plan for myself that my wife, my children, my grandchildren, my sister, my nieces and nephews, because we usually pack up and go as a crowd, as a crew, that we all can go and that we can be comfortable until things kick in. Now, once the thing kick in, I'm getting mine. But when I leave, that's not my plan. When I leave capable of establishing something for us until something kick in, because if we don't, we stupid, because we know the environment we live in. So this is wise. This is what he's saying. Heed the word of the wise and stop listening to the shouts of the fool. You can't shout your way into God. Most of the time when people talking to God, they ain't shouting. Jesus says in Matthew 9, go into your closet, private. When Jesus went into the wilderness, he wasn't shouting. In fact, he didn't want to be disturbed or distracted. He was focused, because energy can't be broken. Listen to that. I said something. Energy cannot be broken. If you break energy, if you turn off the light switch, it's not that the bulbs is bad, nor the switch is bad. It's you disconnected the connection, so it have no power. Now, when you want that light to be a light again, then you reconnect the power and it's a light again. When you trying to get in touch with God, see, for me, all that noise is distraction. I do things differently. So, again, I like it when it's entertainment time, but all during the service I don't. So with me, I like quiet. I like to go sit on a lake, and I go sit on a lake and I just think, and I listen to the water, and I be thinking, and God be doing things in my head and saying things to me in my heart. So look at here, people. In order that I can get it overstand, I close with this. Listen to this. It's the last verse in verse 9, verse 18. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one bungler destroys much good. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. What does that mean? Now, who wrote this? All this wisdom. Why so much wisdom is being dealt with here? Because Solomon, remember this, Solomon is said, the story says, that God was so impressed with Solomon that God told Solomon whatever he would wish, he would grant him. And it said, the story says that Solomon wished for wisdom. Now, that seems dumb. Man, you got the God of all creation. You got the creator of heaven and earth. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. Anything on the earth. Why he didn't ask for money? Because being smart, you accumulate your own money. You don't need God to give you the money. God gave you the ability to get money. See, God gave you the ability to do everything, but the system took that away from you. Curtis Mayfield tells us that in New World Order. Another victim born in the hood and based on statistics is real ain't all good. Welfare, listen to this. Welfare became the till and daddy couldn't sign. Now daddy can't be seen, so the family has become a crime. We have allowed the enemy to allow us to make the family a crime. Not me. I raised my daughters and still my wife. 36 years, 8 months and counting. So, but I say we because I'm a black male and I'm a part of black society. So I have to take some of the responsibilities too. But I did it the right way. But if I see a brother or sister and then people be like, I get into stuff that people think I shouldn't. But, and they looked at the outcome. You know why? Because I let God move me. See, that's who God have made me now. Again, I'm surprised. I am surprised of where I'm at now, opposed to where, because I'm really shy. And so people think that I'm actually shy. I actually don't. I had a long time of not thinking very highly of myself, and people don't know that. People thought that I think more of myself than I ought to when I really wasn't thinking. I had to be encouraged to see who I was and stuff. So a lot of that cover up for me was shyness. It wasn't that I thought, but I know I ain't better. I know I come from the same hood. I'm Paul and Roman all the way till I die. That's where I come from. That's where I was born. That's what I am. So wherever I go in life, I'm Paul and Roman. That don't change. That don't change. But I'm Bernard Matthews Jr. I'm Bernard Matthews Jr. And that's what my name should be, and that's what I'm going to change it to. People say, why this late? Because I've been trying to do it, but I'm going to do it. So anyway, I'm saying that to say that I thought my dad was a wise man. I tried to be a wise man. Of course, we all make mistakes. Prayerfully, you are wise men and women. Women, be wise enough to know that you are the mother of civilization. The first life that ever came on the planet came from a black woman. Don't forget that. They know who you are, and they're afraid for you to know who you are. Because once you learn who you are, then no longer will you disrespect yourself. No longer will you get out there and do all the things that they said. You get out the rat race. It's just so much. You just, and I close here, I do. When God took first alcohol from me, December the 20th, 1993, then February 15, 1994, he took the cigarettes from me. She, I look at God in the masculine and feminine, not just masculine. They did that. The white man did that. Because the goddess of the earth and the air is the woman. That's why they call the earth Mother Nature and Mother Earth and the air, Mother Nature, Earth and Nature. So you are women. They took the knowledge away from you, but they left the information there for you to figure out. It's that you women are the goddess of the earth and the air. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. You can look that up, prove me wrong. But nevertheless, so when we do that, when they took who we were from us, so we don't know. So when I now begin to know, now I get who I am, now I get who you are. I have nothing but regard and respect for you. But we have to respect ourselves. Again, you know how many times I go places and people walk up to me and, man, like they talk to me as if I should know them because they see my little television program come on Access TV on channel 76 at 8:30 a.m. and p.m. on Saturdays, and sometimes running during the week. So one guy last week, he told me that, and I said, man, that program been running about 9 months. He said, man, I don't care. You tell the truth. They're scared to tell the truth like you tell the truth. He said, man, I look at it, even though it's the same one, every time it come on, I look at it because it's the truth. I said, wow. You see, again, I don't even realize that I impact people's lives like that. Because that's people that I don't interchange with. That's people that I don't, physically interchange with. But the things that I say, that they hold them dear enough to themselves that they find themselves freeing themselves from it. So if I can help one along the way, then my life not in vain. But guess what? I'm not just called to do that. We all are called to do that. We all, Miss Patsy Cartier, you are called to do that. Brenda, my big sister, Brother Dennis Bagnaris, you're called to do that. Minister Willie Adams, you're called to do that, my cousin. Judy Reed, what's up, girl? You're called to do that, Judy. Thomas Melton, you're called to do that, my brother. My great niece, Sunshine Matthews, you're called to do that. Uncle Bernard is so proud of you, baby. So proud of you. Do that thing. Brother Rodney Fields, family. That's family that. You're called to do that, fam. And my cousin, Sister Michelle McWilliams, been on me for the whole ride, been with me for the whole ride. You're called to do that. And all that getting, get it overstanding. Remember, the Bible says, heed the words of the quiet words of the wise, and do not follow the loud shouts of the fools. Remember that now, because if you follow a fool, you become a fool. Remember the old folks used to say, you show me your company, I'll tell you who you are. You show me your company, I'll tell you who you are. Because even though sometimes we hang around people that's a little different from us, but if they're too different, then it's just not comfortable. I remember, and I do close here, this guy, Ricky was gay, and we knew him, and back then I was doing cocaine and he was on drugs, so I had a call, so he said, man, bring me the scope, and I'm going to give you a little bit. Well, you know, when you're on drugs, shit, come on. And so while we riding, it was odd because we riding, and he, looking at men, and I'm looking, I don't see no woman. I'm looking for the woman. But he doing that to men because he had attraction to men, so me and Ricky couldn't hang together like that. You see, now I have a guy that's my friend that's gay, but we don't go there. He don't do that. But when you gay and you to men, see, you throwing me off. Because I don't desire men, I desire women. So I'm used to when I'm around men, when we say, look at that fine sister there, or whatever. I tell you, I'm at a point now, and it's the truth. My wife get mad with me sometimes, but it's the truth, you know. Like when I went to Las Vegas and I was at a festival, and there so many beautiful sisters. I said, sister, you beautiful. And I had one sister, I said, sister, you gorgeous. No, I said, you beautiful. And I said, your legs is gorgeous. And I just walk away. That's it. Don't say nothing else. I just compliment and leave. Why? Because a sister shouldn't have to feel like a piece of meat. Because I'm a predator. We wasn't there for that. We was there for business, keep it business. And that's, and then again, I always want a woman, in particular a black woman, to know that I hold you in high regard. I have high esteem for you. And I would never purposely do nothing to disrespect you, to cause you harm. And if I should ever do something that make you feel that way, that I'm an open and free person, that we could talk, and you get me to see it, I apologize, I fix it, whatever need to be done, because my job is not to make people feel less than who they are, but to get you to see exactly who you are. And all that get it overstanding. God love you, God keep you. God bless you. This is truly my prayer. Assalamu alaikum, Ashe, peace, Namaste, hotel. Thank you for coming on. Have a blessed week, and we look to see you again next Sunday. God bless you. And my sister Brenda asked me to mention, lift her up. Just for the Bible said, where two or three come together, touch and agree that God is in the midst. Now, some of you been on for a little while, so obviously you agree with what I'm saying. Some of you know my sister Brenda because most of you, not all, but some, there are one or two people on here that may not know my sister. But anyway, I just ask you to just keep in your prayers, just general prayers for strength in life and, dealing with depression and stuff like that. Just, I deal with depression. We all deal with stuff. So today is her turn. Tomorrow may be my turn because I've experienced that where I had to stand in for somebody one day and the next time they had to stand in for me. So none of us are exempt from it, okay? So remember, in all that get it overstanding from myself, Imani Temple number 28, Book of Acts Ministries, Bishop Bernard Waters, Wendy Me, and Sister Loretta McCraney. Our great prayer closes out in the fast prayer. I ain't gonna put you on camera. I'm just gonna let you pray. Go ahead.
And Lord, we thank you for this gathering, for the gathering of thy saints to come and hear thy word. As each and every one go forth in this day, O Lord, let them take thy word, O Lord, and give it to those who need it, O Lord. Lord, for we know that all is not for us, O Lord, but someone that need it, O
Yes,
Lord.
Lord.
Lord, so let us go out in the highways and byways,
Thank
O
you.
Lord, and spread thy word unto the
Yes.
people, O
Thank you,
Lord,
Lord.
and hold fast to that which is for us, O Lord. Lord, and just keep on, O Lord, working, O Lord, in the vineyard, O Lord.
Yes.
For it is time to work.
Come on
It
now.
is a new beginning.
Come on, sister.
The month of August is 8th. It's
Come
time
on.
for a new beginning.
Come on now.
New things are happening in life. People are moving in and out of your life.
Say your
Those
prayers,
who are
girl.
not supposed to be there are
Come on
gone
now.
for a reason.
Yes, Lord.
Don't look for them because I put them out.
Yes.
You did not do it. I did it. So for those who you have there,
Come on now.
they are the ones I sent. New people are coming.
Come on now.
Open your ears. Open
Speak.
your arms.
Speak.
Be ready
Be
for
ready.
a change.
Be ye ready.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
do I pray.
Amen. And all that is holy. Be ye ready, even as I am ready. You have to remember in Luke, that's what Luke was about. Those of you who missed Luke, it was Luke 12. It was about somewhere around the 30s to the 40s something. It was about, being ready when Jesus returned and, not slipping, not being off course. So you have to be ready. And remember, in all that getting get it overstanding, you have to be ready because being ready means that you're going to be the best you that you could ever be. Sister Michelle, hit me up. I would like to speak with you for a minute. It's been years since I've seen you and spoken with you. So when you get a chance, hit me up. My phone number is 504-615-1931. 504-615-1931. I'll shoot it to you, or we could do one of the video chatting things. I would love to see you, okay? God bless. Okay, y'all, and all that getting get it overstanding. God bless, God keep. This is my prayer. We be out. Bye-bye. Peace.